Hello everyone, today we are here to ask and answer one simple question: is Connor Murphy natty or not? But before we begin, I have to thank Quality Gains for sponsoring this video.
Hey vegans, hope all is well. My name is Florian, and if you're an avid watcher of Vegan Gains, you will know that this is the second time that I have the pleasure to sponsor a Vegan Gains video. I'm the manager of 5 fitness centers with over 10,000 regular members, plus I'm a certified online trainer specializing in vegans that want to lose fat and build muscle. I'm a hardworking vegan that has the pleasure to run a business and a YouTube channel with the mission to help young vegans get into their best shape ever, mentally and physically speaking. On my little YouTube universe, you can find educating videos like 9 tips to join a gym in 2019, or more abstract videos like the truth about Chef Cavalier. The last one of those two went quite viral. So if you want to take a look at the 2 videos at my channel or at my coaching services, click the links down below. Thank you for watching, and thanks Richard for having me.
So Connor Murphy is a bit more of a difficult case because he's not a massive roided out bodybuilder. He just looks like a guy who could come to the beach and steal your girlfriend. But don't worry, he isn't stealing anyone's girlfriend. If anything, he'd just hire your girlfriend for a video shoot.
I've been on a couple dates, but I don't normally meet up with someone until I actually get to know them.
Unless you're in a Connor Murphy video, then you just come here right away.
Because I saw you on YouTube.
Oh,
so
because of
you
like
were
the social media
crazy.
popularity,
Yeah,
so you know
yeah.
I'm not like a serial killer.
Yeah.
And then, after she gets paid, she'll just talk shit about him behind his back.
I'll tell you about my experience meeting Connor Murphy. I've never hung out with anyone from Tinder. Like, anything I said in that video was a lie. His apartment smelled like, I don't even know if I should say this, musky, like nasty boy smell. And it was just like, ew, stinky. I don't know. I like boys who have good hygiene and are like, know what a candle is, at least.
So I don't think there's any argument that Connor's gains can't be achieved naturally, just with years of hard work. His gains are definitely within the natural range, but that doesn't mean he isn't on gear. Some people take steroids just to make it easier to maintain an aesthetic physique, especially if they want to stay lean for very long periods of time. And Connor has recently come under scrutiny because fairly suddenly he seems to have lost a lot of size and definition, and some people are thinking he's come off cycle. But I think Connor has some pretty reasonable explanations for this.
Alright guys, so reason number 1 why I might be losing my gains. Alright, so I'm gonna be completely honest here. The YouTube life, man, I know it looks all wonderful and great, but it can be stressful, man. Alright, I have a lot of pressure, and don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. Life's fucking awesome. But I do have some pressure from you guys and the internet to be shredded year round. And that's tough to do. You guys know most people bulk and then they cut. Well, for the past year, I've never bulked. I've basically stayed around maintenance or in a deficit like for the past year. See, most people cut for only like 12 weeks, but when you're in a deficit for like a year, your energy input is limited, right? And your body is great at adapting, right? So if your energy input is limited, your body wants to limit your energy output. And what's a great way to do that? Well, it's to shrink in size.
So Connor claims he's been restricting his food intake for a while now, for at least the last year, and that's one of the reasons he's been losing some of his size. And after I took a look at his Instagram, this does seem very plausible. If you look at photos from late 2015 to early 2016, he has a very thick, full look. His muscles look very round and inflated. But then he ended up competing in a physique competition. He lost a lot of that roundness and he flattened out and looked much smaller. So the scenario does seem pretty plausible. When he's eating properly and he's training hard, he does look pretty damn big. But then when he diets down, especially if it's for something like a physique competition where he's trying to get really lean, he does lose size, and that is something you'd expect from a natural lifter. If he was taking steroids, even if they are relatively small doses, I would expect this not to happen. I'd expect him to maintain that thick, round, full look, but that's not what's happening. So his recent loss in size is probably just from dieting for too long, not eating properly, and maybe this has also resulted in some lack of performance in the gym. And if you keep following his Instagram, after his physique competition, he did gain a bit of weight. He started looking fuller again, but then after a while, you do see him start to very gradually shrink a bit. He still has a great physique, but he's not holding on to that same amount of mass he had before, and it's very likely because he has been dieting for too long, so this isn't anything new for Connor. He does seem to grow and shrink depending on his current diet. Now, I do want to entertain all possible arguments here, and a video about Connor did recently go viral. It was uploaded by the YouTube channel More Plates, More Dates, and he talked about how Connor may have cycled off of steroids because of hair loss. So whatever compounds Connor was taking that helped him maintain his physique were also causing him to lose hair, and because Connor cares about his overall appearance, he went off of steroids to prevent any further hair loss.
You'll notice now he is receding. His hairline is getting a lot worse. It's getting thin at the front. It's starting to recede pretty heavily. And what I think was maybe not, I don't know if the original reason he came off of gear in the first place is because of the hair, or it was just time to cycle off and then he noticed the hair loss. But I think over his time on YouTube, he's progressively noticed increased amounts of his male pattern baldness accelerating, and it's gotten so bad to the point where he's been forced to cycle off.
I'm really skeptical of this. It's easy to find unflattering photos of anyone, and sure, you can find some video clips or images of Connor having a bad hair day, but that doesn't actually mean his hairline is receding. If you go back and watch Connor's older videos, even from years ago, you'll see that he's always hid his forehead and his hairline with his actual hair. He's always had this weird comb over, kind of like Donald Trump, and I'm assuming he did this because he's just tried to hide that he kind of has a big forehead and his hairline is sort of back. But we've only really noticed this recently because he changed his hairstyle. His hair is a little shorter now. And even if you go back into his Instagram, you can see that some photos, even from years ago, you can tell that his hairline is just pretty far back. I don't think his hairline is actually being receding. I think he's always had a hairline that was far back. It's just that we've only really noticed recently because he changed his hairstyle. And even if you could say for sure that his hairline is receding, this isn't really good evidence of gear use. Connor himself admitted that he's been in a caloric deficit for a really long time, so he might be malnourished, he might be deficient in iron or something, and that could contribute to hair loss. He's admitted that he's had a lot of stress in his job, so that could cause hair loss. And he may just have a genetic predisposition for hair loss. I know some people personally who started losing hair in their 20s. They don't do bodybuilding, they don't do steroids, they just got unlucky and they lost their hair at a young age. So this isn't enough to go on. If Connor was like suddenly developing like gynecomastia out of nowhere, then yeah, that would be a definite indication that he's on steroids. But there are so many different causes for hair loss, and I'm not even convinced Connor is even losing hair at all, so... And lastly, Connor has said that he's been under a lot of stress, and even though his job might look really easy, I can understand some of the pressure he'd be under to look good all the time, come up with new video ideas to stay interesting and engaging, and staying relevant on social media, managing different businesses. And maybe with everything going on in his life, training and nutrition wasn't the biggest priority for him for a while, and maybe he even ended up getting depressed. I've been through that plenty of times myself, and I'm sure Connor isn't immune to it either. So just because Connor isn't in peak physical condition all year round constantly, no matter what happens in his life, that doesn't mean he's cycling on and off steroids. I think people have just developed some unrealistic expectations, and you have to understand that not everyone is going to pay, super critical attention to their training and diet all the time, trying to stay in peak physical condition. And, maybe Connor just has some better things to do right now than make sure he's maintaining all of his gains. So my final conclusion is that Connor Murphy is natty, but tell me what you think in the comments section down below. Do you think Connor Murphy is natty or not? And if you like this video, maybe consider supporting me on my website. I have some funding perks you may find interesting. If you're looking for clothing, then check out the Vegan Gain store. And as always, keep making those vegan and natty gains.
Beef. What a relief. When will this poisonous product cease? This is another public service announcement. You can believe it or you can doubt it. Let us begin now with the cow. The way it gets to your plate and how.